The engine is already running. You can feel it in your bones before you even hear it, a deep, mechanical growl that vibrates through the steel floor, up through your boots, into your chest. It is the 5th of July 1943. You are inside a German Tiger I heavy tank, and outside, across the flat rolling steppe of Kursk, the largest tank battle in human history is about to begin. You do not know that yet. You know only the heat. Inside the Tiger, the temperature is climbing past 40 degrees Celsius. There are 5 of you crammed into a steel box roughly the size of a garden shed: a commander, a gunner, a loader, a driver, and a radio operator. The air smells of gun, oil, sweat, and exhaust fumes that leak through the firewall. The engine, a Maybach HL 23512, producing 700 horsepower roars somewhere behind you. It is the loudest thing you have ever heard at close range. Communication is nearly impossible without the intercom headset pressed hard against your ear. What does it actually feel like to be inside a Tiger tank? Most people picture power, invincibility, a rolling fortress. The truth, as the men of the 3rd SS Panzer Division would tell you, was far more complicated. The Tiger I weighed 57 tons. That number matters. It took roughly 2 hours to cross. Most European bridges, engineers had to certify the load-bearing capacity first, or the bridge collapsed. On the Eastern Front, in the Rasputitsa, the twice-yearly mud season when the ground turned to a soft grey paste, Tigers sank. Roads that could handle a truck became death traps. The tank that was supposed to dominate the battlefield was, in reality, one of the most logistically demanding vehicles the German military ever fielded. But on the 5th of July 1943, the ground is hard, and the Tiger, for all its weaknesses, is exactly where it was designed to be on attack, with open steppe ahead and a target to destroy. Let's reconstruct that morning at Kursk. You are the tank commander. You stand in the turret, your upper body exposed through the commander's cupola, a set of 7 periscope blocks, giving you a 360-degree view of the battlefield. Protocol demands you keep the hatch open during advance. A closed hatch cuts your situational awareness to almost nothing. The paradox of armored warfare. The man most responsible for keeping the crew alive must expose himself most to the threat outside. Through your periscope, you scan the horizon, smoke already rising from the Soviet lines, 3 kilometers ahead. The Red Army knew you were coming. Colonel General Georgy Zhukov's intelligence network, bolstered by the famous Lucy spy ring operating out of Switzerland, had given Soviet High Command advance warning of Operation Citadel, the German offensive at Kursk, weeks before the first tank crossed the start line. What you are driving into is not a surprised enemy, it is a prepared one. The Soviets had spent 3 months building 8 successive defensive belts, each one deeper than the last, stretching over 300 kilometers. They had laid approximately 3,000 anti-tank mines per kilometer of frontal density that no German tank crew had faced before. Anti-tank guns, the lethal Soviet 76mm, ZS-3, and the newer 85mm, were dug into the earth at hull-down positions, visible only when they fired. Every field of fire was pre-registered. The Soviets had turned Kursk into a killing ground designed specifically for your tank. Your gunner sits directly below and in front of you, pressed behind the sight of the 88mm KWK-36L 56 gun, the Tiger's defining weapon. That gun, the 88, is the reason you are here. It can penetrate 132mm of armor at 1,000 meters, meaning it can kill every Soviet tank currently in the field at combat ranges. The Soviet T-34, which forms the backbone of the Red Army's armored force, carries 45 to 65mm of frontal armor. Against an 88, it is not armor, it is a suggestion. But the gun has a cost. The ammunition is enormous, each round is roughly a meter long and weighs around 15 kilograms. Your loader, positioned to the left of the breech, must physically manhandle each shell into the chamber. In a sustained firefight, he is burning hundreds of calories per hour. His arms shake. He does not tell you this. He loads the next round. You carry 92 rounds of main gun ammunition. In the Battle of Kursk's opening hours, some Tiger crews will fire through half their load before noon. The radio operator sits forward on the right, next to the hull machine gunner's position, though in many Tiger units the hull MG position was occupied only intermittently. His job is to keep you connected to the platoon, the company, the regiment. Communication in armored warfare is often the difference between coordinated assault and a confused mass of isolated vehicles getting picked off one by one. In the chaos of Kursk, maintaining radio contact will become almost impossible as Soviet artillery begins to saturate the advance. This is the part no one talks about when they discuss the Tiger's legendary 88mm gun. The tank it sat inside was also a communications problem, a maintenance problem, a fuel problem, and a morale problem, all at once. The Tiger consumed roughly 500 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers of road travel. Off-road, in the terrain around Kursk, fuel consumption climbed much higher. A single operational day could drain a Tiger's 540-liter fuel tanks almost completely. The German logistics chain in Russia, already strained past breaking point by 1943, had to keep these tanks supplied while simultaneously feeding, arming, and fueling the entire front. It rarely worked perfectly. It often didn't work at all. Michael Wittmann understood this. Wittmann, who would later become the most celebrated Tiger commander of the war, credited with destroying over 130 Allied tanks and 130 anti-tank guns over his career, served at Kursk with the 1st SS Panzer Division, Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler. He understood that a Tiger running low on fuel was not a weapon, it was a 57-ton target. His crew developed a discipline around fuel discipline, ammunition management, and position selection that reflected hard lessons learned on the Eastern Front before Kursk. Most Tiger crews were not Michael Wittmann. Most Tiger crews were 20-year-old men from towns and cities across Germany and occupied Europe, trained fast, sent east, and told that their machine was invincible. The machine was not invincible. And the Eastern Front, by the summer of 1943, was teaching that lesson at terrifying speed. Inside the tank, the battle begins, the way all tank battles begin suddenly. There is no warning, no announcement. One moment, you are moving through dust and smoke. The next, a Soviet anti-tank round strikes the upper hull, and the entire vehicle lurches sideways with a sound like a steel bell struck by a hammer. The round has not penetrated the Tiger's frontal armor, 100 millimeters thick and angled, deflects it, but the impact is brutal. 2 of your crew have hit their heads on interior fittings. 1 is dazed. The loader keeps loading. You traverse the turret. You call out a target. The gunner fires. Somewhere 800 meters ahead, a Soviet anti-tank gun and its crew cease to exist. And then you move. Because standing still in a tank battle is how you die. The counterintuitive truth about the Tiger tank is this: it was most dangerous when moving, most lethal at medium ranges, between 500 and 1,200 meters, and most vulnerable when stationary and isolated. The aura of invincibility that surrounded it, cultivated by German propaganda and confirmed by early combat reports, was, for many Soviet tank commanders, exactly the trap the Germans wanted. They wanted you to hesitate, to wait for more support, to let the Tiger close the distance. The Soviet answer, as developed by Marshal Pavel Rotmistrov and the 5th Guards Tank Army at Prokhorovka, was brutal and costly. Close the range to under 200 meters, where the T-34's gun could penetrate Tiger armor and accept horrific losses to get there. The field after Prokhorovka was not, as Soviet propaganda later claimed, a decisive Tiger killer victory, but it was a statement about will. The Red Army was willing to absorb losses that the Wehrmacht could not sustain. By mid-July 1943, Operation Citadel was collapsing. The Allied landings in Sicily had begun on July 10, forcing German High Command to divert reserves southward. The Soviet counteroffensives Operations Kutuzov in the north and Rumyantsev in the south hit German lines with overwhelming force. The bulge at Kursk, which the Germans had hoped to eliminate, instead became the turning point that eliminated the last German capacity for large-scale offensive action on the Eastern Front. The Tiger tanks survived longer than most vehicles around them. But surviving is not winning. By evening on July 5th, your tank is back at the maintenance area. The engine has overheated again. The Maybach HL 230 had a documented tendency to overheat in summer conditions, compounded by the fine Kursk dust that clogged air filters. Your mechanics will work through the night. Tomorrow, you will go out again. Inside the steel hull, someone has drawn a small tally mark on the wall. 1 tank destroyed. 92 rounds fired down to 61. 5 men alive. That is what it was like inside a German Tiger tank at Kursk. Not a movie, not a video game. 5 human beings in a hot metal box trying to survive a battle they could not win, in a war that had already turned against them, armed with the most powerful tank gun of its era, burning through fuel they could never guarantee, fighting an enemy who had decided that will, not firepower, would decide the outcome. The Tiger was not invincible. Nothing is. And the ground at Kursk remembers every machine that believed otherwise.